Imagine pulling into your family's 150-year-old ranch, the land your great-great-grandfather carved out by hand. The air smells of grass and cattle. The barns stand weathered but proud. You barely step from your truck before you hear sharp heels clicking across the gravel like gunfire. A woman storms toward you, clipboard raised like a weapon. She claims your land belongs to her HOA, that she makes the rules here. But what she doesn't know is that you're not just the ranch's heir. You're the governor of the state. What unfolds will become a fight over land, law, and power that shakes an entire community. Before I start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? The woman was already stomping across the gravel before I even got out of my truck. Her heels clicked like gunshots on the old stone path, and her perfectly lacquered nails clutched a clipboard like it was a weapon. "Excuse me," she barked. "You can't just park there. It's private property." I shut the truck door and adjusted my hat. "Ma'am, I own this property." She blinked. "Oh no, you don't. This ranch is within the jurisdiction of the Oak Hollow Home Owners Association. I'm Angela Faircraftoft, president of the HOA, and you're trespassing." I laughed, not because I thought she was joking, but because I couldn't believe how confidently wrong she was. "This ranch has been in my family for over 150 years, I said. "I just inherited it after my uncle passed. Name's Trevor Jennings." Angela stiffened. "That may be so, but you still have to follow our covenants. We have rules about fencing livestock." She scanned my truck like it offended her. "Unauthorized vehicles." I looked over the split-rail fence my great-great-grandfather had built by hand. The cattle in the pasture hadn't changed much since the Civil War. The only new thing here was Angela and her clipboard. "You're mistaken," I said flatly. "This land predates your HOA by a century and a half. It's not part of any subdivision." Angela's lips curled between a sneer and a fake smile. "We recently voted to annex the surrounding properties for beautification purposes. Your land is now within Oak Hollow's extended boundary. You can't just vote to absorb someone's private land." She flipped through her clipboard like hunting for a loophole. "Actually, we can. The association purchased the wooded lots adjacent to your eastern boundary, and that gave us jurisdiction to expand." I took a slow step toward her. "You do realize what you're doing is illegal, right?" Her voice grew sharper. "You clearly don't understand how HOAs work. We have legal counsel. You'll be receiving a fine for non-compliance. That barn roof alone violates 3 ordinances." My jaw tightened, but I kept calm. "Look, Angela, I'm not just some guy with a cowboy hat and a deed. I'm the governor of this state." She blinked again, this time slower. "You're what?" "Governor Trevor Jennings, sworn in last January. Maybe you missed the news while you were busy policing lawn gnomes." The clipboard trembled a little in her hands, but Angela wasn't the type to back down. "Well, governor or not, you'll be hearing from our legal team. You can't just ignore the rules like some outlaw." I turned and walked toward the porch, boots crunching gravel. "Then I guess I'll be waiting for that letter, right next to the fireplace where I burn junk mail." Behind me, I heard her furious huff, heels snapping as she retreated down the path. I knew she wasn't done. She was the type who'd dig a deeper hole before admitting she was wrong. Trouble was coming, but she didn't know I had cameras, documents, and a legal team of my own. By morning, I had 3 things: a pot of black coffee, the original survey map from 1873, and a call from my attorney general, an old college buddy. He laughed harder than I'd heard in years when I told him about Angela's annexation. "She really said that," he choked. "Word for word," I said. "She thinks she can expand HOA borders like she's building a theme park. You want me to send someone from land registry to set her straight?" "Not yet. Let's give her a little more rope. I've got cameras on the fence posts. Let's see how far she pushes." That afternoon, I spotted a white SUV crawling down the gravel. Angela again, this time with 2 men in polos and khakis, strip mall security types. One had a measuring wheel, the other a drone case. "We're conducting a topographic inspection," Angela declared. "We need access to your back pasture." "I don't think so. We have every right. Article 16 of our updated charter allows environmental assessments in pre-approved zones." "Pre-approved by whom?" I asked. "The board." "The board doesn't have jurisdiction here." The khaki twins didn't listen. One unfolded the drone, prepping like he was in the military. The other rolled his wheel across my gravel, scribbling notes. I pointed to the camera on the fence post. "That's 2 counts of trespassing, 1 unauthorized surveillance device, and a violation of state privacy law." Angela narrowed her eyes. "You're bluffing." I pointed toward the ridge. "There's a fiber line buried there, running to a state wildlife station. That's protected land. Fly that drone over it, and you're facing a federal charge. The polo-shirted men froze. One muttered, "Pack the drone back." The other wheeled toward the SUV. Angela lingered, glaring at the land like it owed her something. "You think status puts you above consequence," she spat. "You're right," I said evenly. "That's why I follow the law, and why I know when someone else is breaking it." She climbed back into the SUV and slammed the door. I turned on the porch monitor. The footage was crystal clear. Every word, every illegal step documented. That evening, I drove into town to see Darla at the records office. Her desk was piled with files and a mug that read, "I can't fix stupid, but I can file it." She sighed when I explained. "She's gotten bold," Darla muttered. "Last month, she tried to fine the Thompsons for planting wildflowers. Claimed it ruined the neighborhood aesthetic. Has she ever tried expanding HOA territory before?" "She's been lobbying the zoning board every quarter," Darla said, pulling files. "Wants to redraw rural boundaries to classify more land as community adjacent. She's got board members in her pocket, offering beautification grants for votes, kickbacks." I asked for the files. She slid me a stack thick enough to stop a bullet. "Be careful, Trevor. She's not just petty, she's strategic, and she plays dirty." On the way back, my chief of staff called. "You'll want to see this. Angela just filed a complaint with the Ethics Commission. Claims you threatened her in a private dispute." "Did she mention trespassing with drones?" "Nope, but your footage has timestamps. We'll handle it." When I pulled into my drive, dusk had fallen. A manila folder sat on the porch. Inside, telephoto photos of my ranch, my truck, me at the barn, shots from across the ridge. They knew the blind spot. That night, I walked the perimeter with a flashlight. The cattle stirred but didn't panic. No movement, no voices, just silence. At sunrise, I called Deputy Ramirez, an ex-Army vet, cybercrime expert who'd moved here for the quiet life. He studied the photos. "These weren't shot on a phone. This is professional surveillance. Someone's watching you. Think it's HOA related? Looks like it, but this is organized, not sloppy." I showed him the drone footage. "Enough for a trespass charge?" "Absolutely. And if they cross that ridge, we loop in the feds." That afternoon, I installed thermal cameras, motion trackers, and pressure sensors under the gravel by the gate. I wasn't just defending my land anymore. I was uncovering something dirty. Angela wasn't overstepping. She was building a shadow network of zoning deals, intimidation, and fraud. And now, for the first time, she'd picked the wrong target. The first real crack appeared when I received a call from a woman named Evelyn Greaves. Her voice carried the weight of sleepless nights, brittle and tired. "They forced me off my land," she said, "told me it was condemned, said the county approved demolition." I frowned. "Condemned? Who told you that?" "The Oak Hollow HOA. They gave me a notice, said it was official. I didn't have the money to fight. My farmhouse is gone now. Rubble." She agreed to meet me at the courthouse. The old brick one, not the Capitol building. She showed up early, denim jacket, battered folder in hand. Inside were photos, her farmhouse with ivy up the porch rails. Then a month later, nothing but dust. The demolition notice had no county seal, only HOA letterhead signed by a compliance director who didn't exist in any public record. That was all I needed to know. This wasn't an isolated case. Back at the ranch, I called Ramirez. "Pull every property transfer Oak Hollow's touched in the last 2 years. Foreclosures, condemnations, demolitions, all of it." He whistled. "You think Evelyn isn't the only one?" "I think she's the first to speak up." The next night, James Lorne, a former city planner, knocked on my door. Hands shaking, he handed me a sealed envelope. "Angela had me ousted after I refused to approve her boundary expansions. Said I had conflicts of interest. I didn't. She just wanted me gone." Inside the envelope were memos, emails, budget requests. One requisition caught my eye. A contract for a private security firm. The same polo-shirted contractors I'd already caught trespassing. Angela wasn't just bluffing with clipboards anymore. She was building a private enforcement arm. James's voice dropped. "They're intimidating families into selling. I know at least one who left below market value." The pieces clicked. Intimidation, fake condemnations, fraudulent demolitions, and shell companies funneling money through Nevada. Angela wasn't just overstepping her authority. She was orchestrating racketeering. 2 days later, Ramirez called back. 17 properties in 2 years, 9 marked as condemned. County has no record of inspections. Demolition crews subcontracted through a Nevada shell. I stared at the ridge outside my window. "Send it all to the Attorney General. Now." The AG didn't need convincing. This is racketeering, Trevor, housing fraud, coercion, maybe even money laundering. He promised to coordinate with state police and the U.S. Attorney's Office, but Angela was still bold. She filed a complaint with the State Ethics Commission, claiming I'd threatened her personally. She spun her own press release, painting me as the aggressor. But I had timestamps, footage, maps, and witness testimony. The tide was turning. That night, a black SUV parked across from Evelyn's sister's house. She called me, terrified. "They're watching me." "Pack a bag," I told her. "Come to the ranch. I have troopers on the gate now." She arrived shaken, carrying only essentials. She asked if her guest room locked from the inside. That night, I doubled the patrols. This wasn't just harassment anymore. It was war. We needed an incontrovertible catch. So Ramirez and I set a trap. At the eastern ridge, I left a utility trailer visible from the road, a fake invoice taped to the windshield. Survey equipment drop. Then we waited. At 1:30 a.m., motion sensors tripped. Cameras caught two figures in dark clothing climbing the fence. One had a crowbar, the other the same drone bag I'd seen before. Within minutes, troopers closed in, silent and surgical. The men were cuffed before they even understood. They weren't just contractors. One had priors for insurance fraud. The other had worked for an illegal eviction firm in Arizona, and both were on Angela's payroll. By sunrise, the news was everywhere. Angela tried to spin it again. Rogue enforcers, she claimed, but payroll records and requisitions tied them straight to her. Warrants followed. Her home was raided, laptop seized. Inside were encrypted files, photos of properties marked with red X's, a spreadsheet titled Reclaim Targets Q3, and emails with out-of-state developers. One recording sealed her fate, Angela boasting about tagging homes as health hazards to force families out. The AG's office moved fast. Charges, conspiracy, fraud, racketeering, unlawful surveillance. Indictments rolled in. The HOA board collapsed. One VP resigned after buying condemned homes at pennies on the dollar. The treasurer vanished overseas. At trial, the testimony was devastating. Evelyn told her story with quiet strength. James explained how the zoning board was manipulated. Mothers recounted water shutoffs. Families described harassment. Audio recordings of Angela herself scheming played to a stunned jury. It took them less than 6 hours. Guilty on all counts, Angela was sentenced to decades in prison. Her empire of intimidation ended with a gavel strike, but the fallout rippled further. The state legislature passed a bill placing all HOAs under oversight. Annual audits, caps on fines, unanimous consent for annexation. For the first time, families across the state had real protection. And the ranch? It was quiet again. The wind rustled through the grass, cattle grazed peacefully, and the only lights at night were stars, not surveillance drones. Neighbors came by, not with threats, but with casseroles and gratitude. We held a cookout. Kids ran in the fields. Someone played guitar. A neighbor handed me a carved wooden sign that read, "This land stands free." I hung it on the porch beam where the morning sun could hit it. Later that night, I walked the fence line, just to be sure. No shadows, no SUVs, no strange lights. Just the land, unbroken, exactly where it belonged. Justice had been done.